There we go. Ganesh Ji and everything. Okay. Speak up a little bit, see how it is.
The second book is what we will be presenting tonight. The second book of the Ayodhya Kanda.
Hmm. Wait a minute, okay? Speak up.
Hello, welcome to Sankat Mochan
Speak up.
Hanuman Temple. Hello, welcome to Sankat Mochan
Speak up.
Hanuman Temple. Okay. Can you good? What are we doing? Closer.
One minute. Somebody says, beautiful. I like the setting.
We know.
You're live, 5 o'clock.
Namaste, welcome to Sankat Mochan Hanuman Temple. Tonight, the reading will be the second reading of 9, which we'll be having every evening as we celebrate Navaratri. Tonight, the second book, part of the Ayodhya Kanda, continues from what we spoke of yesterday, which was Ram's youth. And now we're moving into a little bit later on in his life. So the title of this reading is Banishment. Rama only ever spoke the truth. He was grateful for the smallest favors received from others, but never took offense from their actions. He understood people and knew how to encourage and correct them, so that they always felt appreciated when they were with him. He always kept a positive outlook on life and had a natural sense of the right time and place for everything. Although he was already far advanced in knowledge, he continued to study science and politics and economics, as well as military arts. He wanted to protect his people from all harm, so he learned battle strategies and military command and personal combat. None could defeat him. Besides all this, he found time to enjoy himself and was a keen patron of music and the arts and an accomplished writer. For all these reasons, he shone before like the sun god, and all his people loved him. Not surprisingly, all of his sons, Dasarath loved Rama the most. Emperor Dasarath was getting old, and seeing how well Rama was doing, he decided to pass the control of the kingdom over to him. Bad omens had been recently seen, which further convinced him that he should place responsibility for the kingdom into younger and more capable hands. He called together his ministers and advisors and put it to them that it was time to hand over to Rama. But he did not invite Bharat to be present. One reason for this was that Bharat was far away, staying with his uncle Yudhajit in the state of Kekaya. But there was another reason. Dasaratha had once promised Kaikeyi's father that her son would be crowned king of Ayodhya. In view of this, he thought it best not to give Bharat the opportunity to object to Rama's coronation. After thousands of years in the service of my people, my body is worn out and my mind exhausted, Dasaratha's voice rumbled like a distant thunder. I now wish to install Rama as king. Does anyone wish to speak? The assembly shifted uneasily. They had to choose their words carefully. How could they show their enthusiasm for Rama without appearing to suggest that the emperor was indeed growing old? Mother Earth wants Rama as her guardian, spoke Vasista. Therefore she has inspired you to think this way. If it is her wish and yours, then it is also ours. Let Rama be our protector. Dasarath seemed pleased with this answer. Then let us make haste. Now is a good time for the ceremony. The trees are in blossom and spring is upon us. So it was decided. Priests were sent for and hasty preparations began. Ingredients were gathered. White flowers from the meadows, dried paddy grains, curds, ghee, honey, fragrant oils, gold, precious stones. Call the royal guard, decorate the gateways, let the dancers perform. Tomorrow the moon stands in conjunction with this auspicious star, Pusya, and there is no time to lose, decreed Dasarath. When all was underway, he called aside his personal assistant, Sumantra, and spoke quietly to him. Bring Rama to see me. Rama prostrated himself full length before his father and waited for the familiar touch of his hand. Dasarath drew his son to him and hugged him long before sitting on him on an ornate seat. He loved to look at Rama. I'm getting old, and I've done all I can do for the gods, the sages, Brahmanas, the people, and for myself. But still there is one thing that remains. I must install you as my successor. I have decided that you should be crowned king. The date for your coronation is fixed for tomorrow. Rama listened quietly, taking in his father's words. He enjoyed life as a royal prince and had no wish for this sudden change. But his father's word was law, and his deep sense of duty and his love for the old man, who was always showing him such affection, bound him absolutely. To question his wishes would be unthinkable. And meanwhile, the news spread throughout the city. At Rama's palace, there were scenes of celebration. Soon Vasistha arrived, sweeping up the inner gate in his chariot and hurrying inside. Dasarath had sent him with further counsel. There is no going back now, Rama. It is most important that you observe the fast according to the proper rules given in the sacred texts. After Vasistha left, Sita and Rama lit a sacred fire and made offerings to Vishnu. Then they spread grass mats on the bare floor of the temple and lay down to sleep, thinking only of Lord Vishnu. The next section, treachery. Manthara stood in the roof of the royal palace, surveying the scene below. She had heard nothing about Rama's coronation, but she could tell from the flags and the freshly watered streets, the commotion and noise, that something was happening. Have you heard? Tomorrow the emperor is to install Rama on the throne. The spoken words joyfully by Rama's own nurse, who had just appeared on the roof, hit Manthara's ears like a thunderclap. To her alone in Ayodhya, this news was not wonderful. She was Queen Kaikeyi's aged personal maidservant. When Kaikeyi had married Dasarath, Manthara had once come with her as part of the royal household, and she was fiercely loyal to her mistress, particularly as her deformity gave her few other friends. She was a hunchback. She hurried down to find her mistress as usual, reclining in her bedroom. Get up, she scolded. There's no time to sleep. Your luck is about to evaporate like a river in the dry season. In the absence of your son Bharat, your deceitful husband plans to install Rama on the throne. You must act quickly to protect your rights. Kaikeyi was bemused at this statement. She looked upon Rama as her own son. His good fortune was hers, and would be shared with all his brothers. You are the bearer of joy, Manthara. Why should I be unhappy to hear this? Foolish woman, what is there to celebrate? Don't you see? Once Rama is king, your son will be powerless, and you'll be forced to serve Queen Kausalya. Manthara knew that Kaikeyi as the youngest of Dasarath's wives, was not fond of Kausalya, but these words make Kaikeyi indignant. Rama is full of virtue and deserves to be king. Besides, he is the eldest brother, and it is his right. He will look after Bharat and me as he would his own mother. Already he serves me more than he does her anyway. Bharat can still be king. After a few hundred years, when Rama retires, he will hand over to Bharat as Dasarath has to him. How can you be so stupid as to think Bharat will ever get the throne? Once Rama is king, the succession will go to his son, as it always does. Bharat will be excluded forever from the royal line. Rama will likely send Bharat into exile. Rama should be sent away instead, and Bharat should have the throne. You must act to protect Bharat and yourself from the schemes of your co-wife. Find a way to give Bharat the throne and banish Ram. Kaikeyi heard this with increasing alarm. It was true that she had always wanted Bharat to be king, especially because Dasarath had promised it so, and she did resent Kausalya's seniority. Now Manthara's crooked words fed her fears and ignited a resentment born of long frustration. Her lethargy turned to anger. Perhaps you speak the truth, Manthara. Maybe Ram should be sent away and Bharat put on the throne. But how on earth could it be done? You yourself have the means. You told me in the past. Must I remind you? Kaikeyi got up from her bed. Her interest was definitely aroused. Once Dasarath was severely wounded on the battlefield. You saved his life by taking him away to a safe place. At that time, he offered you 2 boons. You said you would ask for them later, to which he said, so be it. You told me this long ago, and I treasured it ever since, waiting for the right time to help you. Now you should ask for those 2 boons to be granted. First, ask that Bharat be put on the throne. Second, demand that Rama be banished from the kingdom for 14 years, exclaimed Manthara. Kaikeyi listened with excitement as Manthara told her to enter her chamber of wrath, her private room for anger and depression, throw off her ornaments and finery, loosen her hair, and lie on the floor. When her husband would find her there, she must weep and wail and wait for him to offer her what she wanted. He will offer you jewels and gifts. Do not accept them. Fix your mind only on the throne for Bharat and banishment of Rama. Manthara made her put on old clothes and sent her to the chamber of wrath. The delicate queen untied her hair and threw herself upon the ground, scattering her ornaments about her. Tossing from side to side, she began to work herself into a frenzy. If Rama becomes king, your life will be misery and your son will surely be killed, Manthara goaded her. Either Bharat will be crowned or I will eat nothing and stay here until I die, said Kaikeyi. Her face darkened with rage and her heart poisoned by Manthara's arrows of hatred. She awaited her husband. Dasarath had just seen Ram for the second time, and evening was approaching. He had been issuing orders all day, and at last he felt confident that all was in hand for the coronation. Now he looked forward to the enjoyable task of telling his dear Kaikeyi the exciting news. As was his habit, he went to find her in her bedroom. Kaikeyi's bedroom was empty, her bed unused. He found one of her maids who told him nervously that she was in her chamber of wrath. In dismay, he entered the darkened room. He found her sprawled on the floor like a creeper torn from a tree, weeping piteously. He knelt beside her, but she pushed him away. My beloved, who has upset you? What is wrong? Let me put it right. If someone needs to be punished, I will punish him. If someone must be rewarded, I will reward them. The queen took no notice and continued to weep. I promise, on my honor, I will do whatever pleases you. I rule a kingdom stretching from the southern Deccan to the Himalayas, from the east of Bengal to the west of Rajasthan. Whatever you want is yours. She turned to him. No one has insulted me, she sobbed, but there is something I must have. Promise you will give it. Give me your word, and I shall tell you what it is. She had Dasarath at her mercy. My dear, I promise you shall have what you want. I swear on my beloved Rama, without whom I could not live for even a day. I swear I will satisfy your desire. Please, let me make you happy again. Helplessly the emperor was drawn into Kaikeyi's trap. Indra and the gods have heard your oath. The moon and the sun bear witness to your words. Now listen to me, Kaikeyi's voice hardened. Remember when I saved your life and you offered me 2 boons. Now I want them. If you refuse me, I promise I will die. My first request is for Bharat to be installed on the throne in place of Rama. My second is for Rama to be sent away this very day to Dandaka forest for 14 years to live as a hermit. Dasarath could not believe his ears. All day he had felt a sense foreboding which had now turned to throbbing in his head and pain in his heart. He collapsed from the bare floor beside his queen and began to murmur, "Oh, pity, pity, your words are cruel. What harm has Rama done to you? When the whole world loves him, why should I send him away? Life might go on without the sun or water, but I cannot live with Rama. I cannot believe you mean what you say. This is not you speaking, but some evil spirit that has entered you. I might agree to put Bharat on the throne, but I will never banish Rama. Take pity on me. I am old and weak. You can have anything I possess, but without Rama I will die." But the emperor's weakness only served to strengthen Kaikeyi's resolve. "You have given me your oath. Are you going back on your promise?" she tormented him. "Your word has no value? Banish Rama, or I shall drink poison." In vain Dasarath tried to reason with his cruel queen, but by turns groaning and pleading. How would Rama, who knew only fine food and soft beds, survive alone in the forest? Rama was so noble and obedient that if he asked, he would go at once without complaint. But what of Sita and Kausalya? Surely they would die of broken hearts without him. Indeed, who would wish to stay in Ayodhya if he were gone? Even Bharat would not stay, and Dasarath would be ridiculed and die. Kaikeyi would be left alone to preside over the collapse of the empire. But the woman's heart was hard and cold, and his words useless. Spent, he collapsed at her feet, a broken man. Darkness fell, and the palace became silent. Dasarath lay unconscious as the long night passed. He drifted in and out of wakefulness, pleading and whimpering, dreading at the arrival of dawn. The queen, however, was alert with angry determination, and when the sky lightened, she commanded Dasarath to send for Rama. Unaware of these terrible events, Vasistha, who was the emperor's family priest, boarded his chariot in the bright morning and made his way to see Dasarath. Followed by priests carrying ingredients for the ceremony, he reached the palace. He sent Sumantra to announce his arrival. Sumantra was surprised to discover that the emperor was not yet up, having spent the whole night in Kaikeyi's quarters. Passing the queen's personal attendants who dared not stop him, Sumantra entered the inner chambers. "O king, awake, for today is a glorious day," he called. "As the sun wakes the world, so do I wake you. Vasistha is here and all is ready. Come and order the installation of Rama." From the shadows emerged the emperor, red-eyed and feeble. I am not asleep, Sumantra. Silence, please. You are only making things worse. The emperor collapsed onto a couch and Kaikeyi stepped forward. He was unable to sleep last night in anticipation for today's coronation, said Kaikeyi. Now he's exhausted. Call Rama to come here at once. Sumantra hesitated, waiting for the emperor's approval. Do as she says. Bring Rama, murmured the emperor. Sumantra hurried to fetch him, hearing that his father wanted him. Rama came out of his palace like a lion from his mountain cave. Joined by Lakshmana, he mounted his chariot, inlaid with gems and gold, and moved in a state procession through the city. The crowd followed him right up to the inner gate of the palace, where they waited for his return as the ocean waits for the moon. Rama went inside with Lakshmana. As soon as he saw his father, he knew something was terribly wrong. He was sitting with Kaikeyi on her bed, his face black with despair. Rama bowed at his feet. Dasaratha could not speak, save to falteringly repeat the name, Rama, Rama. His eyes were blinded with tears. Rama turned to Kaikeyi in alarm. What has upset my father? Rama demanded. Have I angered him in some way? Why is he in such a state? The emperor is not angry. He has something to ask of you, but he cannot bring himself to say the words. If you promise to carry out his wish, I will reveal it to you. On his own, he will never tell you. Mother, you know I will do anything for my father. If he wishes, I will drink poison. Tell me his wish, and I shall execute it. Rama never goes back on his word. Long ago, your father offered me 2 boons, and now I am claiming them. I've asked him to install Bharat on the throne in your place and to exile you to Dandaka forest for 14 years, where you are to live as an ascetic. Now you know why your father cannot look at you in the face. These words made Lakshmana recoil in anger and dismay, but Rama heard them without flinching. His voice remained even-tempered as he replied, If the emperor has promised you this, then without hesitation I shall go to the forest. Kaikeyi was delighted to find Rama so cooperative. Shamelessly she pushed home her advantage, urging him not to waste time in getting ready to leave. I am not attached to worldly comfort, and I will happily live in the forest for 14 years. I had no need to hear it personally from my father. Your word as my mother is sufficient. I will leave today. Make sure Bharat is brought here at once to protect the kingdom and look after my poor aging father. So saying, Rama bowed before his weeping father and the hateful Kaikeyi and strode purposefully out of the palace, taking with him Lakshmana, whose eyes were brimming with tears of anger. Rama emerged into the sunlight before the waiting crowd. He sent away his chariot and royal attendants and insisted on walking on foot to see his mother. As he entered her chamber, he saw that she was in the midst of her morning worship, praying for the blessings of the installation. Happily, she embraced him. Rama held her tight. Mother, I have painful news for you. The emperor has decided to give the throne to Bharat and has sent me away to the forest for 14 years, where I must live as a hermit, feeding on roots and herbs. The queen trembled. The blood drained from her face. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Rama caught her as she fell and held her in his arms. My son, I would rather have stayed childless than to hear such words. I cannot bear the pain of losing you. Let death take me. Lakshmana could stay silent no longer. The emperor is out of his mind. He is so attached to Kaikeyi that he does not know what he is saying, he burst out. No son should have to obey a senile old man when he is in this state. I should kill him rather than see Rama go. Listen to your brother, Rama. Such terrible words have never been spoken in this family. And if you leave, I will fast to death. Give up this madness, said his mother. Mother, this is not madness. This is my sacred duty. I must obey my father. Don't despair. I shall return after 14 years. Rama was calm and unmoved. He turned to his brother. Truth is the source of our strength, Lakshmana. You must never give up. There is no use in making threats. Kausalya cried without control. Lakshmana shook with anger, and Rama stood between them. Lakshman, you must understand that truthfulness and honor come before everything. I am bound by my father's order. I would rather live in the forest with nothing than rule a kingdom at the cost of my honor. Do not blame Kaikeyi or the emperor for this turn of events. How could Kaikeyi have ever thought of such a thing? It is not her doing. They are both under control of providence. I am also under the same control. I accept this as the will of God. I know you love me, Lakshman. I know you want to help me. Instead of threatening violence on my behalf, use your energies to get everything ready for my departure. I must leave as soon as possible. Kausalya saw it was useful to try to dissuade Rama. She felt the misery building up inside of her, threatening to consume her like a forest fire. She pleaded with Rama that he must go. Let him take her with him. She would look after him and prepare his food, but Rama was adamant. Poor father will not survive if both of us desert him, dear mother. You know that. A woman's duty is to serve her husband. Go then, and may the gods protect you. I will await for your return, my beloved son. She gathered flowers and incense and chanted hymns, imploring Vishnu to protect her boy. She tied on his wrist an amulet blessed with sacred mantras. Her eyes streaming tears, she held him in her embrace and smiled bravely. I can see you now, dear boy, returning from the forest, your face shining as you run towards me, your arms reaching out to embrace me. You are dressed in forest barks with leaves in your hair. Rama loosened her hold and made to go. Hurry back, my child, she cried. I cannot wait for long. He slipped from her grasp. Next chapter, leaving Ayodhya. Sita waited for her husband to return from seeing his father, full of expectation for the coronation ceremony ahead. When Rama at last appeared, it was obvious that he was not his usual self. Whereas Rama had stayed calm with his father and mother, when he came to see Sita, he could no longer restrain his feelings. He had intended to leave her behind, but found it hard to keep his resolve. What is wrong, my lord? You have come without your royal attendants, who should be with you on this special day, and you are pale and trembling. My beloved Sita, Father has seen fit to send me into exile and to give the throne to Bharat, Ram told her all that had happened, and she sat stunned in silence. While I am gone, you will be under the care of Bharat. Be sure not to praise me in my absence, as this may provoke him. Honor my father and mother, as well as Kaikeyi and Sumitra, who have always been my well-wishers. Look upon Bharat and Satrughna as your own brothers. Stop this, interrupted Sita. I am not staying here without you, so there is no use in your telling me what to do here. My wife's place is with her husband, and you are my only protector. Do not insult me by suggesting that I will accept the protection of Bharat or anyone else. If you must go to the forest, then I will come with you. I will walk ahead, crushing the thorns on your path. Even though the forest is full of dangerous animals, I will be happy there with you. I will live on roots and fruits and cause you no trouble. I look forward to seeing the mountains and waterfalls and lakes full of swans and lotus flowers. I long to live in the forest with you. Rama tried to dissuade Sita. She had no idea how perilous the forest was. I will tell you what the forest is really like. Sharp stones, thorny heaths, the roar of lions, the attack of wild beasts, rushing streams, alligators guarding the rivers, ponds, hunger gnaws and mosquitoes bite. In wind and rain you search for food. In darkness scorpions sting and serpents creep along the stone. This is forest life. Sita began to cry, but she was still determined, saying, when I was a little girl, a holy woman once came into our house, and I overheard her tell my mother that one day I would live in the forest. It is my destiny, and I will not feel the pain when I lie on the forest floor beside you. Leaves or roots will taste like nectar when they come from your hand. Tears fell like crystals from her lotus eyes. We are bound together forever. In the scriptures it is said that a woman stays bound to her husband even in the next life. Either I live with you in the forest or I will die here without you. Unable to deny her any longer, Rama took her in her arms, his arms. All right, since this is your destiny, come with me. Together we will vow to give up all comforts and live in the forest on the order of my father. To serve one's father, mother, or guru brings the highest reward, even entrance to Goloka, the eternal forest of Krishna. Now be quick and get everything ready. Give gifts to the brahmanas and distribute whatever of ours that is left to our household servants. Lakshman stood by anxiously. Since childhood, he and Rama had never been separated. Fighting back his tears, he now spoke. If you go to the forest with Sita, then you must take me too. I can go ahead with my bow, so that you can wander safely enjoying the natural beauty. If I stay here without you, my life will be empty and useless. So it was decided that the three of them would go into exile. The three companions went back to the royal palace to take their leave of Dasarath. News of Rama's banishment had spread through the ordinary people of Ayodhya. It was hard for them to understand what was happening. Why had Dasarath done this? As the three passed through the street without Rama's usual company of royal guards and chariots, onlookers felt dismayed. They looked upon Rama as the root of their existence and could not conceive of life without him. We will follow Rama, they said to one another. We will turn in the forest into Ayodhya and let Ayodhya revert to forest. Kaikeyi will inherit a deserted city inhabited by wild animals and mice. Rama came once more before his father. Dasarath had called all his wives to be present. Headed by Kausalya, they filled the room, many weeping uncontrollably. In their midst, the emperor sat on a couch, propped up by pillows, red-eyed and exhausted, showing all the symptoms of a complete breakdown. When he saw Rama, he struggled bravely to his feet, but even as Rama approached him, he began to totter, so that Rama had to catch him and lay him tenderly on the couch. Gently, Rama said goodbye. He explained that he and Sita and Lakshman were ready to leave, and they had come to say goodbye. In desperation, with a low, trembling voice, Dasarath spoke. My senses are quite gone, my son, taken from me by Kaikeyi. I am powerless. You take charge. Hold me captive. Take the throne by force. Be calm, father. You know I could never do such a thing. I am quite resigned to going away. Please accept all these events as inevitable destiny and allow Bharat to peacefully rule the kingdom while I'm gone. If you are determined to honor my vow, Rama, as I knew you would be, please let your mother and I cherish one last night with you. But Rama would not stay. He did not want to prolong the pain of parting any longer. Dasarath tried to struggle to his feet, to give his son a last embrace, but as he did, his fragile frame could take no more. The old man collapsed unconscious on the couch. A great wail went up from all his wives, even the men present openly wept. Kaikeyi alone remained unmoved. Queen Kaikeyi, you are an evil woman, cried Sumantra, whose usual cool exterior was shattered by uncontrollable waves of anger. You are the murderer of Dasarat and our whole race. You violate all codes of honor of the Ishvaku house. He spoke for them all. If Rama leaves, we will leave with him, and you will be left with nothing. And all you will achieve in sending him away is to send yourself to hell. Kaikeyi's face betrayed no emotion, as if carved from stone. Dasarat stirred. A new thought occurred to him. In a weak voice, he ordered Sumantra to deploy his entire army to accompany Rama to the forest, with provisions of food and gold. With them should go priests, merchants, hunters, the whole entourage of civilization. Kaikeyi protested bitterly that Ayodhya would be stripped of its wealth and armies, leaving nothing for Bharat. These shameless words provoked even Dasarat to retaliate, that he too would go to the forest with Rama, leaving her forever. Rama intervened. I have no use for an army or great wealth in the forest. I relinquish all claim to the throne of Ayodhya or any of its possessions. Mother Kaikeyi, please bring us to the forest clothes, woven from grass and tree bark, and a spade and a basket for gathering roots and herbs. We shall take nothing more, and we shall go alone. Without delay, Kaikeyi brought what he requested, and Lakshman and Rama changed into simple robes. Sita, however, was dismayed at such plain garments and had no idea what to do with them. Rama helped her to drape them over her finery. It was a pitiful sight. Kausalya embraced Sita with inner tears. Rama consoled his mother. Don't despair, dear mother. Our exile will soon be over. 14 years will slip by even while you are asleep. Then turned to all his family members and friends gathered around. He went on. Please forgive any offenses I may have committed. Now I must take leave of you all. Farewell. Rama led his two companions as they went first to the emperor, then to Queen Kausalya, bowing and walking around them in respect. Lakshman tearfully embraced his mother Sumitra, who urged him to serve Sita and Rama as if they were his own mother and father. Outside, a chariot stood waiting for them, carrying Sita's ornaments and silk robes, mighty bows and other weapons, a basket and a spade. They boarded it, and Sumantra took the reins. Picking up speed, the chariot headed for the city gates. On the way, the people of Ayodhya lined the streets. Moans and cries went up on all sides. Young and old pushed forward to catch hold of the chariot as it passed. Many ran after it, tears streaming down their faces, imploring the driver to slow down so they could get a good look at the faces of their beloved Rama and Sita. Dasarat did his best to follow them. Slow down, he ordered Sumantra. Speed up, commanded Rama. The dust of the chariot's wheels mixed with the people's tears. Turning, Rama saw Dasarat slip and fall, unable to get up. Kausalya and his aides bent to help him as he called pitifully for Rama. Rama turned away and did not look back. Drive on, he ordered Sumantra as they passed through the city gates. Helped by Kausalya, the emperor got to his feet and reached the edge of the city. He watched the chariot diminish into the distance, followed by a cloud of dust, until all that could be seen was a blur on the horizon. He stood rooted to the spot, unable to turn away. In front of him on the road, he saw the wheel marks of Rama's chariot, but even as he looked, the breeze blew them away, leaving no trace of his passing. Kaikeyi came to take his arm, but he pushed her away. No longer are you any relation of mine. I disown you and all your household. After a long time, he turned to go back. The emperor made his way back to the palace with Kausalya. He had eyes for no one and thought only of Rama, and hid himself and did not eat. Men's faces were wet with tears, and mothers ignored their children. The wind gusted along empty streets, while the sun hid behind unseasonable clouds. In the moonless night, Kausalya sat beside her husband's bed. His breath came fitfully in intermittent gasps. Inside her she felt the fire burn even hotter, consuming her will to live. Dasara reached out in the darkness. Kausalya, I can't see you. I've gone blind. Touch me with your hand. She took his hand and let out a long, piteous wail into the forest. The chariot kept up speed for a while, with the citizens of Ayodhya desperately straggling behind. White-haired men bent with age who thought they could convince Rama to change his mind were among them. Feeling pity for them, Rama stopped the chariot and continued on foot as far as the river Tamasa. There he halted for the night. As birds sang evening lullabies, the travelers settled on a bed of leaves for their first night out in the open. Rama made sure the horses were well fed, but for himself drank only a little water. He had no appetite for more. Lakshmana could not sleep and sat up all night talking about Rama and Sumantra with Sumantra. Several hours before dawn, Rama awoke and was distressed to see the good people of Ayodhya strewn on the bare ground fast asleep. Without disturbing them, Rama and his companions quietly rode their chariot across the swiftly flowing river, being careful not to leave any telltale tracks on the other side. When the poor citizens awoke, they searched everywhere for Rama. Unable to find any trace of him, they returned to their homes in despair. Rama pushed southwards through the cool pre-dawn air, his mind fixed on his father's order. By the time the sun rose, he and his companions had left the river far behind. All day passed through the fertile lands of Kosala, full of gardens and temples, crossing the river Gomati in Siamdaki. News went before them, and along the way, village folk left their fields to implore Rama not to leave. He was unable to check his tears, but sent them back to their work. At last, they reached the holy Ganges, whose deep waters decorated with white lotus flowers and swans, which marked the border of the Ishvaku territory. Rama looked back the way they had come to salute the far-off city of Ayodhya. When I have honored my father's vow, I will return. The chief of those parts was Guha, loyal to the Ishvaku kings. He welcomed Rama and his companions with well-cooked food and soft beds, yet Rama was still not hungry. I have vowed to sleep on the ground and eat only forest fruits and roots, he told Guha. But he asked him to care for his horses. Lakshman stayed awake a second night and shared his sorrows with Guha. I fear that without Rama, the emperor and the queen may not have the strength to survive this night. Comforted by Guha, he shed hot tears while Rama and Sita slept. In the morning, the two princes treated their hair with sap from the banyan tree, twisted into top knots in the style of forest sages. They put on quivers and loaded their gear into a boat. For Sumantra, the moment of parting had arrived, and he grew visibly distressed when Rama told him he must not now go back to Ayodhya. The emperor and my mother need you now more than ever. Tell them we are safe and at peace. Embrace Bharat for me and make sure he is properly installed on the throne. Console the people of Ayodhya, for when they see my empty chariot, they will know for certain that I have gone to the forest. Godspeed. Lakshmana steadied the boat in the swift-flowing river as Sita nervously stepped in. Then they were off, drifting quickly downstream. At the center of the river, Sita spoke softly to the goddess in the waters, imploring her to protect Rama during their coming ordeal. Soon they were walking in single file, following the southern bank of the Ganga, with Lakshman in the head and Sita protected in the middle. Now begins forest life, said Rama to Sita. Today you will walk where no humans live. That night, as they prepared to sleep beneath the shelter of a great banyan tree, Rama's heart was heavy with thoughts of his mother and the persecution she would have to endure from Kaikeyi. He cried quietly. Lakshman came and comforted him and prepared for him a bed for him and Sita. It is best not to grieve, Rama, he said. Rama felt strengthened by his brother's words, and neither he nor Lakshman ever grieved again in the midst of that unending forest. All the next day they walked steadily within sight of the river. Towards evening they saw smoke wafting up through the trees, and heard in the distance rushing waters. They had reached the hermitage of the sage Bharadwaja, at the confluence of the Ganga and the Yamuna. Youthful ascetics greeted them and brought them before their teacher, who sat surrounded by birds and forest animals. He was expecting them and had made arrangements for them to live there. But Rama declined. Here people would find me. Tell me where we can find a hidden place where Sita and I will be happy, he asked. There is a sacred mountain called Chitrakoot, 60 miles from here, whose woods abound with black-tailed monkeys and deers and elephants, the sage replied. Rich in supplies of honey and roots, and fruits are there, with sheltered caves and waterfalls. In the morning, Bharadwaja directed them to Chitrakoot, across the Yamuna, 2 days' walk to the southwest. Rama and Lakshman built a raft of logs, and on it a seat of cane and rose apple wood for Sita. When they reached midstream, Sita again spoke to the river goddess Yamuna, asked for Rama's safety. Bharadwaja had told them that they would reach the great banyan tree, and there they should turn south. When they found it, they stopped for the night. The next day, they continued southward along a well-trodden path. Around them were trees laden with scented blossoms, resounding with the buzzing of bees, warbling of birds. As they reached their destination, Lakshman grew excited. Look at the size of the honeycombs and the luscious fruits. Ahead, I can see the peaks of Chitrakoot, and near the trumpeting of elephants. A sage, Valmiki, for it was he, was waiting for them in his ashram at Chitrakoot with great delight. He gave Sita and Rama a place to sit while Lakshman busied himself constructing a thatched cottage. When it was complete, Rama built inside it a shrine to the forest guardians and to Vishnu. He consecrated it with Vedic hymns and a sacred fire ceremony. At last, Rama felt released from the pain of the past days, and they rested with peaceful hearts. So thus ends the second book of the Ayodhya Kanda.
Tomorrow.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hanuman.